Hello, just Gem here and welcome, or indeed welcome back to my channel. It is time for a long overdue what do I think now. I didn't do one in May, I think, because I wanted just a little bit more time to play around with the palettes that I had on rotation around that time. And then June was a month that just, it got away from me, basically. June was super busy and I barely had enough time to film content in general. So what do I think now got bumped again. And I say in the past, I've done it at the end of the month. I've kind of only just started doing them monthly, and then I haven't done it didn't do it last month. But here we are. I'm just gonna quit rambling, but I thought I would come back and let you know what I think about some of the palettes that I was trying out a few months ago and that I've been dipping into. I try to kind of rotate my palettes around every month kind of thing and concentrate on maybe newer palettes or ones I've just reviewed, and then come back and tell you what I think. First up, if I can get the angle right, I don't think I'm gonna, there we go. Molten Metals from Gloss Gods Cosmetics, and this is what that looks like on the inside. Trying not to blind you with the mirror there. So on the whole, even though I don't know how to explain, it's a cool toned palette. Even the browns in here, they kind of somehow lean, even though they kind of look a bit warm, they somehow lean a bit cool. I don't know how to explain it, but it's on the whole a cool tone palette. It's a 50-50 split between mattes and shimmers. The mattes are alright. But really, I think if you're picking this palette up, it's gonna be for the shimmers in here. Really, that's what this palette is all about. These are the molten metals, basically. These are the shadows that I would say the palette is named after, not so much the mattes. The mattes provide a very, very good base for these shimmers to go on top of. And these shimmers they're impressive. They are impressive. I really like this palette. It's not an earth-shattering colour story. It's not. It's a neutral colour story, really, isn't it? But the shimmers in here is what makes this palette. I picked this up on a sale and it was well worth the sale price. I can't remember offhand how much the full price is. Should I just do some, like, that's platinum. I'm just gonna swatch them all, I think. Like, can you see those on my fingers? Ooh, just swatching these again now, it's just like the shade Copper. Look at those. Like, I don't know what I can do to really show you how spectacular these shimmers are. They're just stunning. Intense, shimmery beautifulness. And then there's one more. Steel. I might as well get steel involved as well, because look, it's almost white. They're just outstanding. They really are. I don't know how else I can describe these shimmers. I think even if the mattes were shite, I'd still rate this palette based on these shimmers alone. They're just, I could stare at these all day. I feel like I'm a magpie. They're just beautiful. They really are. No other words. If you can, I mean, it depends on what kind of colour story that you're into. I'm generally not a neutral person. Having said that though, lately I have been drawn more to sort of neutral palettes, but I think this is neutral plus. That's what I would say. This is neutral plus. if you're looking for outstanding shimmers, I really want to try Gloss Gods Cosmetics. Like, again, I want to try something else from them. They have recently released Dripping and Sizzling, I think they're called. And even when they released, I was going to call it Aurora Borealis. That's not the name of the palette, but I know that's what it's based on. The name of the palette's escaped me. I'm just going to put it, I'll write it on the screen here. That's really going to irritate me what that palette is called. But I did a scratch that itch because I know I've got palettes similar to that. I did a scratch that itch with Lure and Metamorph. I couldn't justify buying that, and then I did Sizzling and Dripping, but I'm really trying to slow down with buying palettes. Like, I really, really am. But it's so hard, it's so hard. Really enjoying this. I went on holiday back in February and I took this with me. This was one of the palettes I took with me. Yeah, really like this. If this is still available and if you can get it on a sale, bargain. I rate that a lot. Next up, another palette that I really like, and unfortunately I don't think this one's available anymore. So maybe I should have come back to try and include this one, but it's Sinister from Cosmic Beauty. This palette, I've done perhaps some of my favourite looks of late using this palette. It's very different for Cosmic, I feel. Not that their palettes are samey per se, but I think you would know what I mean. If you were to put all of them together, this one to me stands out as being just that little bit different. I know, so I still haven't tried Ghost. I keep meaning to, but I don't know if it's like a fear thing of messing it up or drying. I don't know, but I still haven't tried Ghost. There's just something about this colour story, and I know I think I talked about it at the time. It's got that similar vibe to things like Vamp and Tainted from Jolie Beauty and a few other palettes, but this for me is unique. I don't have another palette like this, and yeah, really, really like this one. I like Cosmic's formula. I don't think I'm ever going to have an issue with Cosmic's formula unless for some reason they change it in some way. If they do some kind of update to improve it and it ends up changing it and making it weird, which sometimes people do. Sometimes companies change up a formula and it's not always for the better. Generally, Cosmic's formula, like the shade Eerie, it's got this flip to it. I don't know. Yeah, see, that looks... I mean, I don't even know what shade I would describe that as. And what else is there in here? Sinister itself. And I did wonder at the time if that was going to be anything like, I think, Gravitate and Cranberries from... Gravitate's in Culturals, Cranberries is in 'Tis the Season. But it's not. They are different. Let's swatch Warning, which is a red shimmer. Perhaps more of a satiny formula there. Would it be one of my... See, it would be high, I think, in my Cosmic rankings. It's very out there, but I really, really like this palette. I really do. If it comes back, I mean, again, it's down to colour story, really. And I know this is out there. I don't think this is for the faint of heart, this colour story. It's bold, it's unusual, but I really like it. And I think it's because it is something very different for me. Sinister. Cosmic Beauty. I've used that a lot as well. That's one I keep gravitating towards. Enjoy that one. Next up is another Cosmic Beauty palette. Cosmic Brushes, Cosmic Beauty. Let's put that down so it doesn't blind you. And this is the Lovers. And this is alright. And this is... I think because of the roundabout way I ended up getting this palette, it's one that I'll never be kind of like, oh yes, love it, because it was one I was going to pass on. And then, yeah, if you want to know the full story, just watch the original video. But it is pretty. I have to give it to it. It is pretty. It is a nice colour story. It's just not particularly unique. And it's weird because, I mean, let me hold this up to... I did comparisons. I can't remember if I did it in the Artitude video or the Cosmic video, because I'm going to talk about this one next. But even they're quite similar. So I can't say that these are unique colour stories, because look at them next to each other, they're clearly not. Even the tones of the packaging are quite similar. Maybe it's because they're Valentine's releases, and I don't know, maybe there are these unwritten rules when it comes to trends that people seem to follow. Like, we keep seeing it, ocean vibes, vampire, like sinister. I just mentioned the similarities between other palettes there. So I think I did do a mini comparison of these two palettes, and I did some swatches. If I can dig out the footage, I might just pop it in again so that you can see it, or I'll link, I think I've got a short, I'll link the short below so that you can see the comparison swatches of these two palettes. I can't really score them points for uniqueness because very similar. What would I say I preferred in this case? Oh, that's a hard one, you know. I don't know if I could pick one because they're that similar. But I wonder if, on the whole, and I think I've commented this before, I think Artitude's formula just about edges it for me. So, I mean, I guess I'm doing these together now, so I don't think we even said, but it's Ink and Roses from Artitude Cosmetics and the Lovers from Cosmic Beauty. So that was remiss of me to not say that from the beginning. But it's hard not to compare the two. Both Valentine's palettes released around the same time. UK indie brands, you know, the list of similarities goes on. Would I have a favourite? If you like the colour story and you like both formulas, I would probably say get the Lovers, only because it's cheaper. I think this one is £25, because I want to say like Culturals, Neutrals, 'Tis the Season, they're all 28, and I remember that this one is a bit less, so I think this is 25, whereas Ink and Roses, I want to say that that's closer to 40 plus full price. Should I have a quick look? What I will say is, if you were to get Ink and Roses now from Artitude Cosmetics, it'll be a magnetic palette now. I know that Rooks is converting all of her palettes to magnetic palettes, and she's selling a little magnetic tool as well that you can grab. I think it might even come free with certain orders if you spend more than a certain amount. Oh, okay, it's not as much as I thought. It's £36.99. For a magnetic palette, actually, that's not too bad. And there are codes knocking about, and Artitude and Cosmic, actually, they're both on TikTok Shop. It's worth having a look on TikTok Shop if you were wanting to purchase from either of those, because sometimes they've got extra discount codes that you can use. I think both direct websites you can find 10% off codes, but then you have to spend a certain amount to get free shipping. You also have to spend a certain amount for free shipping on TikTok, but more often than not, just one palette qualifies for free shipping. If you just like the colour story and you appreciate both formulas, then I would say go for the Lovers. If you like both colour stories and one formula over the other, it's going to be up to you whether you want to spend the extra, almost £10 really, on this palette if you find this formula superior and you're willing to spend the extra money for this particular palette, bearing in mind this is 16 shades and this is 20. So, you know, it's a tough one to weigh up. I still can't decide which one I would pick over the other. And to be honest, I don't know, I kind of feel even though I like both the looks from here, I don't necessarily feel like I need either of them. I just, because like I mentioned, again, I can't remember which one I did it for. It might have been the Lovers, but it's also quite similar to Ghost Town USA. All three have got similar kind of vibes. Having said that, and I'll revisit this, but Ghost Town USA, some of those shades crease on me. Some of the shimmers do crease, whereas I don't believe I've experienced creasing with either of these. So it's a tricky one. I do like them. I'm rambling here, I need to stop. I do like them, but I think because they're so similar to each other, it's kind of annoying. And I say this, like I bought them, like I knew they were similar to each other, which is why I wasn't necessarily going to buy this one, but we are where we are. I don't know if I've actually told you what kind of opinion. They're both good palettes, but I think the sameness puts me off them, which is silly. I've bought them with my own money. But here we go. Speaking of Nomad, the next palette I'm going to talk about is Chamonix Après Ski. I like this one, which, does it have kind of similar vibes to the ones I've just shown? In a way, I guess, but there's something about this that's just that little bit different. Are some of the shades a little bit light? Yes, they are. How often would I perhaps dip into Raclette, Fondue and Last Call? So those are the last mattes in each of the columns here. Perhaps not so much, but I could use them as inner corner highlights. Crease colours, not so much. I will fully admit that. But despite the fact that there are these super light shades in here, I really like this palette. I do. Which seems odd because on paper I feel like I should probably appreciate something like Ink and Roses more, because it has similarities but more depth, and I'm always banging on about depth, but there's just, I don't know what it is about this one that I like more than this one. Maybe it's the blues. Could it be the blues? Because it's got, I hadn't even noticed that before until now I'm comparing these next to each other. Haute Savoie, I'm putting these on my wrist knowing full well I'm not going to be able to show these to you. Maybe I'll take a picture again. Yeah, see, those are close. Gosh, I'd never noticed this until this very moment. Haute Savoie and Love next to each other. And then, should we do Bloom next to Ski? That's mad, that is. I can't believe I never noticed this before. Bloom is lighter. Maybe Bloom would be more like Fondue. Okay, it's kind of in between. I think Wilted is earthier than Mont Blanc, so I won't compare those. Vallée Blanche. No, Thorn is deeper, as is Roses. Are there any other similar shades in here? To be fair, I think that's it. It's not too bad. It's not as stark. It's not as similar as I thought. Good lord, that's what I was trying to say. That's weird. I never clocked that before, but there are definitely some similarities. So that's really odd. And let me just swatch Ink quickly. That's flaky. Ink and maybe, no, I don't think Mountain Chalet is going to be close. It's different, entirely different formula. That's probably closer in tone. Aiguille du Midi and Ink. Ink is a bit deeper and it's a flakier formula. So yeah, I'll take a picture of this and I'll put it in, because I can't really show you. That's some of the swatches of Chamonix and Ink and Roses. I can't believe I didn't clock the similar. They're different enough. They are different enough. I'm surprised I didn't clock that before until just now. I don't know why. I do prefer Chamonix, which is very unusual because I'm all about the depths normally. But there's something... Do you know what I think it is as well? I'm not overly keen on super flaky formulas, and Nomad don't tend to do those flaky formulas. I think that's why I prefer this one. And I think and that's something to note actually, like going back to Ink and Roses and the Lovers. If you don't like flaky formulas, then Ink and Roses is possibly not the one for you. And that's worth bearing in mind, especially because it is more expensive. Like, do you want to pay more for flakier formulas which you might not be keen on? So maybe in that sense, perhaps the Lovers does trump it for me, because thinking about the things I like and I look for in a palette, I'm not keen on flaky formulas. The cheaper the better, while also maintaining the quality. So maybe I would pick the Lovers over Ink and Roses plus 20 Shades V16. Yeah, if I look at it that way, I think the Lovers does actually win over Ink and Roses. Last in this roundup is Beauty Below, and that is Beauty Below in there. I love this palette, I really do. Would this be one of my favourite Blend Bunny palettes? Having just said how much I like Chamonix Après-Ski, despite the fact that it's got some really light tones in there, one of the things I love about Beauty Below is how deep and rich this palette is, which I know would be a down, like this would lose points for the richness and the depth that this palette has for a lot of other people. But I love this. I can use every single shade in this palette without having to go, ooh, will that go in my crease? Would I have to just only use that as I can just use everything in here. No issues, no doubts, no ifs, no ands or buts. I just love that I can shove my brush in here and just apply shadows without having to overthink it. I think I said at the time that I wasn't overly impressed with the shimmers, but I don't know why I said that, to be honest. I really don't. You know, comparing them to maybe like the Longing shimmers, which I think I'm sure I've said this before in another video, and I can't remember when. I'm just swatching these ones out. If I'm comparing them to the Longing shimmers, those are like super intense, super sparkly, wow, blingy shimmers, and maybe the price point would have been too high to include those kinds of shimmers in this palette. From red downwards, I think one of those, Intoxicating, almost blends in with my skin tone there, but it's a bit of a purpley toned shimmer. And I mean, looking at those, they do have some sparkle to them, not as much as Longing, but they are very nice shimmers. So I don't know what I was talking about when I said that in my initial video. I guess maybe I was just thinking of the Longing shimmers, so they just paled in comparison a little bit, but they do hold up on their own, they do. Should we do one more? That was just pulled under that I did there. I should probably... This is another one that I've been reaching for a lot, and I've been trying to experiment with the fact that you can do looks based on the quads within here, so you could just pick that quad, or you know. So I have done a bit of experimenting with that and just sticking to the quads and seeing what looks I can do based on those. It is heavy, like holding this up I'm like, ooh, gosh, that's pretty chunky, but I've got to give it to Blend Bunny for making all their palettes magnetic, but somehow keeping the price point as low as they are. Even Artitude, I think the prices have gone up by like a couple of pounds now that they're magnetic, but not by too much. I'm not a BYOP person, so I'm not overly fussed if palettes are magnetic, but it's nice to know that if they do become magnetic, it can be done without massively increasing the price tag, because I think I'd be a bit resentful as someone who doesn't necessarily move my eyeshadows about, if I had to pay a considerable amount more for a magnetic palette that I'm not fussed about having. I don't know if I checked before, and I don't know where my magnetic tool is. That's a good point. Where have I put it? Oh, that's irritating, because I was going to check if the shades were on the bottom. I somehow doubt it, but I checked with... I believe they are going to be for Artitude, so if that's something that you... Oh, there's my magnetic tool. It's hiding in plain sight among my pencils. No, they're not named on the back, so you'd have to do that yourself. But that's something to note. Artitude, names on the back. Names on the back. Is this my favourite out of the palettes? Oh, but Sinister. I really like Sinister. I do like Gloss Gods, but I think that's almost a bit more of a basic bitch palette, so I don't think I can rate it as highly. So I think my two favourites from this roundup have got to be Sinister and Beauty Below. Cosmic Brushes, Blend Bunny. Right, my camera battery is flashing at me. I'm surprised my battery hasn't died on me already. It's probably going to go right now, just as I'm wrapping up. So I should probably do this quickly. That's what I think about these palettes. Do you own any of these palettes? Have you been eyeing any of these palettes? Once again, apologies, no longer available. But if someone's selling it on Mercari, Depop, any one of those, and you missed out, I think it's worth having. I do. I really, really, really like this palette. I really do. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to keep playing around with palettes. I'm going to come back. I'll give you a roundup of some more at some point. I hope that you found this useful. I hope that you found it enjoyable. And I also hope to see you again in a video in the not too distant future. Take care. Bye. Just said how much I like chamois. What is going on there? What is that? Have I gouged this at some point? I don't know what I've done.